Hey everybody, it's Dr. Johnny. I just finished doing a TV segment for my friends in Cincinnati at WXIX TV, and the segment was on a really interesting subject that I think you might want to hear about, and that is energy and sleep, particularly as it affects your kids. So because we're going into back to school season, WXIX wanted me to address the subject of how do we make sure our kids have enough energy to get through the day and perform at their optimal best, and how do we make sure that they're relaxed enough to get a good night's sleep, which in turn will feed their energy. So I had a lot to say about that, and I'm going to expand the 2.5 minute, 3 minute window that I had on morning television shows to give you a little bit more detail about this. So the first thing that I said is that both sleep and energy are things that are more impacted by what we do or don't do than they are by any supplements that we take. So for example, if you're stressed all the time and you got a million things going on and you're eating a lot of sugar, you're probably not going to sleep well. So the solution to that is not to take something for sleep, but rather to eliminate the things that are interfering with your sleep. And it's exactly the same thing with energy. Our natural state is to be energetic. If we're not, if we're tired, if we're dragging all the time, and that's true for your kids as well, something's interfering with the natural expression of that energy. And I always believe it starts with food. So I recommended to the listeners, and I'm recommending to you as well, that you really want to concentrate on whole foods for your kids. They are the secret to everything. Now, there's an exception. I did recommend one supplement I'm going to tell you about in a minute. And it's not that I don't recommend supplements for children. I am a big fan of fish oil, magnesium, a multiple, vitamin D. Those are the basics. Everybody should take those. But I don't like supplements for sleep or for energy because they generally just mask the problem. They don't eliminate the things that are preventing you from sleeping deeply and relaxed and preventing you from having a lot of energy for the entire time that you're awake from morning to night. Now, the one exception is a kind of food-based supplement that got on my radar recently that I want to tell you about in a little more detail than I was able to say on WXIX because of the time frame limitations. And it is a kind of a honey, but not a honey in the sense that you know honey. See, this started with the observation that beekeepers are among the most long-lived profession on the planet. And doctors observed this and wondered why. And obviously the answer has something to do with the fact that they eat honey all day long. But what does that tell us? It tells us there must be some really vital nutrients being delivered in that honey. And listen, this is not new. People spent a lot of money on Manuka honey, right? Why? Because it comes from the Manuka tree, and that has particular health benefits for wound healing. Ironically, people spend enormous amounts of money for Manuka honey, and what the real value of Manuka honey is putting it on burns and wounds. That's where it really shines. But there are other honeys that we've known about, buckwheat and stuff that our grandmother told us was good for sore throats, and that's all true. But what these Israeli researchers did was they looked at the bee's life cycle, the hive's life cycle, and they noticed that, there's a time when it's not pollen season anymore and there's no food for the bees, and the hive drops from like 90,000 bees to 30,000 bees until the pollen becomes available. So what they did was they made a superfood for bees, and they took the superfood for bees directly to the hive, which made the bees thrive and produce a food I'm going to tell you about in a second. So what they fed the bees was not pollen precisely, but a kind of nectar pollen kind of substance that was made from the essence of botanicals that we know have health benefits. So for example, hops. This is hops. You know it as something that you use to make beer, but it's also a medicine or the substance from which medicines are made that deal with anxiety and deal with insomnia. So it's an incredibly relaxing and wonderful herb. And things like oats, groats, or hibiscus or sage, all these things have medicinal properties. But how do you get bees to eat them? They're not even always available in edible form to humans. So what the Israeli researchers did was they developed a high-tech process, a really brilliant process. It's beyond me to explain it or even understand it, that extracts the most important medicinal elements from these incredible botanicals, mixes it in to a kind of nectar pollen-like food, and then brings it to the bees. So the bees don't have to go out and look for pollen because there is no pollen at that time. So it's like fast food for the bees. They just deliver it right to the hive and the bees eat it up. And what they produce is not just like Manuka honey that comes from one tree or wildflower. They produce this incredibly high-tech, nutrient-dense substance. We call it honey because there's really not another good word for it, but it's a honey-like substance. It's actually a medicinal food, a supplement that it comes in food form. And unlike regular honeys, you don't use it in tea. It doesn't dissolve. I mean, it does dissolve, but you don't want to do that. What you want to do is just take a spoonful, half a spoonful, and literally suck on it and take it almost like you're taking a supplement. Kids love it because it tastes like honey. It's just a high-tech delivery system for incredible array of herbs and botanicals that have huge medicinal value. You can get this stuff on Amazon. I'm just excited about telling people about it. The three I love the most and the ones that were most relevant to the spot I did on WXIX about energy and sleep is the one called Relax Mel, and that's the one that's enriched with all of the botanicals that affect anxiety and relaxation and insomnia and all those good things, all those good herbs and botanicals. And the other one is called Energy Mel. Mel, by the way, means honey. And it is infused with all the things that would tend to be associated with more energy, more vitality, more cognitive focus. And they condense it, put it into this stuff, and what comes out is this wonderful, rich food supplement. And I feel very confident in recommending this to parents for kids. There's nothing artificial in it. There's nothing GMO in it. There's no artificial chemicals or colors or anything like that. And because of the small amount of it, it really isn't going to do much to your blood sugar. It's not going to be like consuming, Gatorade or something like that. So this is what I wanted people to know about. And I want to reiterate that it's not all about the supplements. It's about eating whole foods, getting sunshine, getting exercise, reducing stress, and doing the right stuff at bedtime, like getting the room temperature about 68 degrees, turning off the television, making sure it's dark and relaxed, and you're not looking at your phone, and you're not watching TV, and that sets you up for a good night's sleep, and that sets you up for a day filled with energy. Supplemented with these wonderful medicinal honeys, you can't go wrong doing that for your kids.